Finding a place to live, especially if you're renting, can be very difficult. It's difficult for people who are buying a home, and it's difficult for people who are renting. And it can be even more difficult for people who have a Section 8 voucher. You have to stay within a certain area. You have a rent cap that the housing authority is willing to pay. And there's so many other constraints that you might have to stay within, maybe the number of bedrooms and things like that. So it can be very difficult. But I want to give you three places that you can go and look for and find a place to live. Some of these places you might be aware of, but I want to give you a little more detail about. And some of these places you might not have thought about. Okay. So the first place is going to be the housing authority, because the housing authority is giving you your voucher. The housing authority is saying, we will cover this amount of rent. This is what your rent cap is. This is the type of home and the parameters that you have to stay in. But working with your housing authority caseworker and maybe tapping into their resources as far as what they know is available or where you can look at. Maybe it was phone calls that your caseworker had to make for somebody else that they might know that's leaving a place and that it could work for you. Or maybe they know of an off-market rental that they can maybe ask for a favor or see, hey, are you willing to accept this? So working very closely with your caseworker, and not just taking that voucher and going out on your own, but really tapping into that caseworker as a resource to help you find a place to live. The second place that you can look for is Zillow. Now, using Zillow to find a place to rent, first of all, realizing that Zillow has rentals on there. And then also going a little deeper, because you might see about 100 rentals in your area, but maybe only 8 or 10 or 15 says accepting Section 8. Now, that doesn't mean that the remaining 80 or 90 are not accepting them. That could just mean that those landlords just are not aware of what the Section 8 voucher process is. Not all landlords realize that you just have to list your home on the Housing Authority website to begin the process. Not all landlords realize that the voucher holder provides them the paperwork to fill in and to get in the system. Not all landlords know how easy the process is, especially if their home is up to code and there's no major issues with their home. So go to Zillow and see if there's homes or apartments or condos or whatever it is that you like, and call that landlord and say, hi, I have a Section 8 voucher that will cover this much of the rent, all of the rent, or beyond the rent. And it's a very easy process to be a part of. Are you willing to talk to my caseworker so that we can get this ball rolling and see if that's something that you're willing to accept? And the third thing is probably something you've never even thought about. With my real estate background, what we call this is driving for dollars. And basically, it's you driving around town, finding homes. And finding homes that say for rent, maybe even for sale, and seeing if it's possible that they rent it out to you. But these might be homes that they didn't post on Zillow or the MLS. This might be a for sale by owner or rent by owner. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to drive around, you're going to look for these signs, and you're going to call that landlord too and talk to them about that process and see if that's something that they're willing to accept. Okay, and in this scenario and the last scenario with Zillow, you are going to make sure that you're putting the landlord and your caseworker in contact with each other so that your caseworker can vouch for you. Your caseworker can talk about the process and letting that landlord know what they need to do. Okay, like I said, a lot of landlords, especially some of these first-time landlords, have no idea how the Section 8 process goes, how easy it is. So if you are looking for a place to live, you just got your voucher, you've been looking for a while, these are three places that you can go and look for. You may have tried some of these places or all of them, but dig a little deeper and use some of this information as a way to help you find your next home and your next place to live.